जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य ष्टोत्रक्ष श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला भय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज श्रीला प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन विबिड संस्थापकाचार्य श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य ष्टोत्रक्ष श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोदरक्ष श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला गौर किशोरदास बाबा जी महाराज की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोदरक्ष श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की व्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदायिनी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशनल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश भगवान की श्री श्री गौर निताय भगवान की श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की Thy Gaur Premanande, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Prabhu. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा. Welcome to all the devotees for this afternoon's Sunday festival lecture. This Tuesday we are celebrating the Bhadra Purnima, and on that occasion across the world of ISKCON devotees are extolling the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and across the world of ISKCON devotees are distributing the Srimad Bhagavatam in great numbers. Yesterday we began trying to understand what is the content of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we shared this very important principle. Just like there are refineries for refining and purifying water, refinery for purifying and refining oil, refinery for refining metals. So the refinery for refining and purifying desires and intentions is the Srimad Bhagavatam. when you allow the sound vibration of Srimad Bhagavatam to pass through your consciousness, there is a purifying and refining effect on your desires and intentions. And therefore, you get elevated from the intention of fear, which is out of tamogun, to desire, which is out of rajogun, to the level of intention of duty, which is in sattvagun, and come to the level of serving, inspired and impelled and pulled by the intention and the desire of love, which is service without selfish consideration. And when one is able to serve constantly, consistently, with that intention of love, simply to serve and please the beloved without expecting anything in return, one experiences a different level of power, fearlessness, peace, bliss and joy, which is beyond all the experiences of pleasure in this world. And therefore, that was the context of yesterday's discussion, where we started describing about the different kinds of prayers which devotees are praying for in the Srimad Bhagavatam for their purification. And the first prayer we discussed was how the devotees, the characters in the Srimad Bhagavatam, are intensely and consistently and constantly praying for association of devotees, because only in that association of like-minded individuals one can actually transform one's consciousness. And yesterday's whole discussion was on that very important principle of praying for the right association so that one gets purified from within. And so the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sudamaji in his prayers, he says, Tasyaiva me sauhrida sakhya maitri dasyam punar janmani janmani syat mahanubhavena gunalayena vishajyatastat purusha prasanga. So everybody, especially from India, is familiar with the pastime of Sudama, who was poverty stricken and went to Krishna in Dwarka to ask for some wealth. And when he approached Krishna, Krishna just offered him hospitality. And so, Shushrushaya Paramaya Pada Samvahanadibhi Pujito Deva Devena Vipra Devena Devavat. Sudamaji is not given any wealth by Krishna, but Sudamaji is offered the highest respect, love, affection, reciprocation, appreciation. And when he experiences this, his heart is flooded with joy. And he says in this verse, I was treated by Krishna as if I am one of the 330 million gods. That is the kind of treatment I received. Pujito deva devena vipra devena devavat. So the way Krishna treated Sudama, Sudama forgot about even asking for money. And on the way back, his heart is filled with bliss. And then he's trying to understand and analyze. I went to somebody asking for money. He didn't give me any money. Still, why am I so joyful? Normally, you would be frustrated. Many corporates have told me the biggest anxiety day is when they are going to announce bonuses. And here is somebody who went for something and he came back without anything, but he's blissful and joyful. What's going on? So he says, Shvobhote Vishvabhavena Svasukhena bhivandita jagamasvalayam tata patham anuvrajyanandita. So in this verse, Sudamaji reveals the secret of joyful life. And he says the secret of joyful life is when you have wonderful, healthy relationships. And then he says the foundation for such relationships is twofold. And that is what I experienced from Krishna. What is that? Number one, he says respect. Samman. When there is respect, then the second thing begins, which is seva or service. When there is samman and seva, respect and service, then the third thing begins, which is sneha or affection. When there is affection, there is a danger that familiarity breeds contempt. Ati parichayat avagya. Satat gamanat anadaro bhavati malaye bhilla purandari chandanam kuru kashta indhanam kurute. There is a lady who is in the forest of sandalwood trees. While cooking her rotis, she is using sandalwood. The rotis are very fragrant. But sandalwood is not supposed to be used as fuel. But because she is surrounded by sandalwood, she is thinking, oh, let me use it. So therefore, one of the biggest challenges in relationships of affection is crossing the boundary. And therefore it is called Sima, which is the proper etiquette of being within the limits. So when there is Samman, respect, Seva, service, Sneha, affection, and Sima, which is boundaries, then the relationships can flourish. And Sudamaji is experiencing this joy. And therefore, Sudamaji is expressing, I am in great bliss. Right? Many times, people, they look at us and many people question me. You know, you're all giving these teachings of Bhagavad Gita and that this and that. What is your intention? What do you want to do? One college student I was giving prasad, he said, no, I will not take. I said, you're the first guy who's refusing prasad. I have seen people refusing Gita. But why are you refusing prasad? He said, I'm afraid if I eat this prasad, my hairstyle will become like yours. So Srila Prabhupada said, we are not inviting people to the temple to bring you out of your home and make you stay in the temple. No. The temples are running so that you come get inspired of how you can transform your home into a temple. And that's the idea which the Srimad Bhagavatam is trying to share. So Sudamaji is here demonstrating how each one of you living in your homes can experience the feeling of Vrindavan and convert your home into a temple. And for that you need to do only one shift. Moving yourself from the center of the universe and bring Krishna into the center. And therefore, in the Vedic paradigm, there are three kinds of families. First level of family is called Parthiv Ras, which means our relationships will only continue if each one of us are able to fulfill our selfish desires. A relationship based on selfishness. Then comes Swargiya Ras, where we are willing to sacrifice for each other. Then comes Vaikuntha Ras, where Krishna is in the center. And with Krishna in the center, the first priority while making decisions is how will this decision of mine affect Krishna? Is it favorable for Krishna? Is it in the direction of pleasing Krishna? And therefore, traditionally, when families had God in the center, the society was very harmonious, like that. I was giving a talk in a college many years ago, and here was a Western boy who came to me and he started speaking to me in Hindi. And I was bewildered. I said, hey, you look like non-Indian, but how are you speaking Hindi? He said, I'm not from India, but I grew up in another part of the world. But when I was 17 years old, I told my dad, you gave me everything life except the experience of family. Because, you were separated and I grew up all alone. Now at the age of 17, I want to experience what is family. His father said, well, I'm too old to give you that now. Maybe you go to India. And he went to Varanasi, went to one house. It was written there, paying guest allowed. So he just went there and told them, I just want to stay here for 2 years and experience what it means to be part of a family and have these exchanges. And if you just allow me to stay in the family and have these loving exchanges, because I just want that emotional fulfillment of being part of a community, part of a family, I'll give you a rent of 1 lakh rupees, 100,000 rupees every month for 2 years. That family said, why 2 years? Stay whole life. And then they said, if you have other friends also who want to experience, we will open maybe one more room also. So as the whole world is obsessed with economic development and growth, we may be missing out on some very crucial elements, which is how we can maintain our own consciousness and emotional stability, and how we can maintain the stability of our families and communities. And therefore the temples exist to provide you with that anchor so that you can come here and reset your narratives, which is very important. One student walked up to me when I was worshipping Radha Gopinath in Chowpatty in Mumbai, and he said, I got something to make an offering to the Lord. And he gave me a bag, and inside the bag I saw was a set of boxing gloves. I looked at it and said, I can't offer this to the Lord. He said, I attended your Gita course, and they said, anything new you buy, you should offer to the deities. I am following your instructions seriously, and here you are trying to stop me. You are simply a pujari, just offer it. Don't make so many arguments. So I offered the boxing gloves to Gopinath. And while offering, I prayed, my dear Lord, I don't know what to do with it. You decide how you want to purify it. And then I took it and gave it back to this young boy and said, I have offered now, what you will do with these boxing gloves? He said, whoever I hit will get Gopinath's Mahaprasad. So I said, well, that was one part of the course you remembered. But the other important part of the course is, what's the purpose of human form of life? What's the purpose of life's journey? We have limited number of breaths allocated. How do we plan to utilize that? Durlabho manavo deho dehinam kshana bhanguram tatrapi durlabham manye Vaikuntha Priyadarshanam. Human life is rare. Rarer is a long life. Rarer than a long life is a healthy life, disease-free life. And rarer than that is a life where you have the luxury of the association of devotees who are trying to purify their consciousness. So therefore, that's what the Srimad Bhagavatam is focused upon. Attracting those souls who are very serious about refining and purifying their desires, their intentions, and move their intentions behind any action, any work, from fear to desire, to duty, to love. And therefore, dharma basically means first, purity in your proclivity or intention. Then comes stability in your identity as a soul. Then comes your consistency, or as they say, focus in your activity, flexibility in your activity. The mission will remain same, but the methods may change. Flexibility in the activity. And then the fourth is clarity in your communication. And when you bring all these four principles together, then you are actually experiencing what is dharma. So therefore, dharma is not just activity, but beyond the activity, there are other things and other principles. And therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is focused on this. And as we discussed yesterday, the Srimad Bhagavatam is being spoken to a young, successful, powerful king who has seen Krishna in the womb of his mother, and he is suddenly cursed to die in 7 days and 7 nights. One of the biggest causes of anger we experience is when we feel we have been treated unjustly. When we feel I'm experiencing injustice, the feeling of injustice evokes very strong emotions. And especially amongst Kshatriyas, the warrior class, whose tolerance level is least, whose ornament is intolerance. Because of their intolerance, they are able to fight. And such a Kshatriya warrior, for a small mistake of putting a dead snake around a sage's neck, is cursed to die in 7 days and 7 nights. When the punishment does not match up with the mistake, it's called injustice. So Maharaj Parikshit could have revolted with anger, but Maharaj Parikshit responded with maturity, because he realized that death is anyway going to come. But here, Krishna in the womb of my mother protected me, although I had no arms to protect myself. I was a helpless embryo. And when Ashwathama's Brahmastra attacked, no power could have stopped me, protected me. But it was Krishna's will which protected me. And now when I am at the peak of my youth with entire huge powerful armies and weapons and the ability to defend and protect myself, simply on the pretext of a glass of water which made me thirsty and a dead snake put around a sage's neck in the middle of the forest, I am about to die. Which means what? In the womb of the mother, it was Krishna's will that the Brahmastra be destroyed and Parikshit be born. And now Krishna's will has changed. Krishna's will has changed, and Krishna's will is dictating that may Parikshit be killed and Srimad Bhagavatam be born. So therefore, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is nothing but a demonstration of Krishna's will. And so I explained yesterday, before coming into contact with Srimad Bhagavatam, I was thinking, I am in the spotlight in the opera. The light is on me. My dance, my song, my act. But then, when I come in contact with the Srimad Bhagavatam and see how Parikshit's life is turned upside down in 1 second, I realize the spotlight is not on me, the spotlight is not on you, the spotlight is not on any of our skills, the spotlight is not on our economic power, our political prowess, our social influence. The spotlight is on Krishna's will. And Krishna's will dances unpredictably. And therefore it is very attractive. And therefore, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is centered around that. And so Parikshit is responding to that will of Krishna in an amazing manner. And he says, Tasyaiva me sauhrda sakhya maitri dasyam punar janmani janmani syat mahanubhavena gunalayena Vishajyatastad Purusha Prasanga. My dear Lord, actually, I had no idea that I am going to go through this difficulty. My dear Lord, whatever I did was my mistake. And therefore, my dear Lord, if this curse had not come, I would have still continued to persist in my material sense gratification. Because of your curse, I am able to extricate myself from this material world. This curse has come as a great benediction in my life. And therefore, sometimes situations come in our life which appear as calamity, but that adversity becomes the opportunity for great spiritual prosperity. We may not be able to recognize at that time, but then later we realize there was a reason why this has happened in my life. And therefore, Maharaj Parikshit acknowledges that whatever has happened is for my ultimate benefit. And that's the context of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Srimad Bhagavatam helps us understand and contextualize calamity and see that as opportunities for prosperity. And therefore, what is the definition of anxiety? The definition of anxiety is trying to increase our prosperity and minimize our adversity. Constantly planning to increase prosperity and minimize adversity is the definition of anxiety as per the Srimad Bhagavatam. Another totally revolutionary paradigm. That, I should not meditate on increasing prosperity. I should not meditate on diminishing my adversity. What will I meditate on? You have to meditate on opportunity for service. And when we are focused on searching for opportunity to serve, then it does not matter whether there is prosperity or adversity, because we are constantly absorbed in the principle of service, seva. And that is the sum and substance of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's how the Srimad Bhagavatam is bringing this very powerful principle in front of all of us. Right, Srila Prabhupada at the age of 70 plus came to America, and then he came back to India and established Krishna consciousness. So he's sitting on the top of the Juhu ISKCON temple and he's talking to a group of businessmen. And then Brij Ratan Mohtaji, a very powerful businessman, he walks in and Prabhupada introduces him to everybody. Here is Mr. Brij Ratan Mohta, a very powerful businessman, very successful businessman. And Mohtaji says, Srila Prabhupada, you went to America with 40 rupees. Now you have property all over the world worth more than 40 crore rupees. You are the real businessman. Prabhupada said, why don't you join my business? And he said, not now. So Prabhupada said, then you help us, support us in our effort to distribute this knowledge of the Bhagavatam, which is doing what? The Srimad Bhagavatam is not changing your profession. The Srimad Bhagavatam is not changing your occupation. The Srimad Bhagavatam is not focused on changing your location. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is focused on transforming your perspective. Because today when people get depressed, they go to the psychiatrist, get the pill. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is saying there is an alternative, which is perspective. I'm standing in front of a skyscraper, 40-story building. It looks overwhelming. I'm small. The skyscraper is tall. But when I sit in an airplane and from 20,000 feet above the sea level, above the ground, I look down at the skyscraper, it looks tiny. The skyscraper size has not changed. What has changed? Perspective. And therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam is helping us transform perspectives and look at problems we are facing on a daily basis from different perspectives. One brahmachari joined the ashram. His father came and started arguing with me. Why my son is in the ashram at this young age? When he is my age, he should join the temple. I said, let your son go, you join. He said, let me ask in my family and come back. Next day he came and said, let my son continue. So Parikshit is explaining here in this context when Shukadeva Goswami is in front of him. Api me Bhagavan Prita Krishna Pandu Sutapriya Paitrasa Sevya Prityartham Yat Gotrasyata Bandhava. At this stage, when I am faced with death in the next 7 days, a normal person would get depressed, distressed, discouraged, defeated. But I only see hope. Because circumstances in this world may make us helpless, but we should not allow our consciousness to become hopeless. Circumstances are not within our control, but consciousness is within our control. The circumstances may make you helpless, but we should have control over our consciousness and not allow our consciousness to become hopeless. And that's the content of the Srimad Bhagavatam. A young man facing death is in great determination and hope, and is looking at Shukadeva Goswami and says, the reason you are here, my dear Shukadeva Goswami, is because Krishna is pleased with my forefathers, the Pandavas, and therefore Krishna has sent you here. It is not because of my spiritual credits or qualification. Sarva bhauma grihe dasa dasi ye kukur Seha mora priya anya jana rahudura. Lord Chaitanya is saying that anybody is connected to you, O Bhattacharya, is dear to me. So Prabhupada says in the commentary, when you take to Krishna consciousness, Krishna becomes so pleased with you that Krishna takes personal responsibility not only of you, not only of your current family, but 21 generations of your family. So Srila Prabhupada says the best way to please Krishna and get Krishna's protection is by becoming a devotee. You are doing the greatest service to your family. So when I joined Krishna consciousness, my family was not very happy initially. But then my cousin was very enthusiastic. And he said, let's have a Gita lecture for all our family. At least there is somebody who's taking everybody's sins. So I went to Chennai and I had like 100 members of my family for an event. And I brought one of my other devotees to give a lecture. And in his lecture, he pointed to me and said, hey, here is Gauranga Prabhu who's become a Hare Krishna devotee. Because of him, all of you sitting here in this room will all go to the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. And not only you, 21 generations will go. Everybody was in bliss. After the lecture, a cousin came up to me and said, continue chanting. Huh? If you have any problem, let me know. I didn't know that your practice of bhakti was so beneficial for me. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this principle. Ei rupaya chandale kirtana sanchare nam prema mala ganthe podela sansare. Lord Chaitanya garlanded the entire universe with the garland of Krishna prema strung on the thread of holy name, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So you may hear the Hare Krishna devotees chanting. You may have seen them dancing also. You have seen dancing? So you may think what's going on. Somebody came to the temple at 4:30 in the morning. He said, oh, you got a very different club. 4:30 in the morning, people are dancing. Huh? We have one young boy came up to me and I invited him for a youth festival in Chopati, Prerna festival. He looked at me and said, no, I go to the local disco here. I said, what's your disco? He said, it's called RG's. I said, my temple is also RG's, Radha Gopinath. So he came to the temple. He enjoyed the dancing and after that he said, how much I have to pay? I said, dancing is free. Then he went for prasad. He said, how much I have to pay? I said, prasad is free. He said, Arey, Gana free, Nachna free, Khana free. This is better than disco. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the dancing. Why? When you're raising your hands and dancing up and down, it is not an acrobatic dance move. It's a humble acknowledgement that I allow myself to be engaged in your service and allow you, my dear Lord Krishna, to make me dance like a puppet as per your will. And therefore when we chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Through this chanting, we are offering a prayer to the Lord that I am not seeking prosperity. I am not seeking protection from adversity. I am only seeking alignment of my will with your will. And when we are able to align our will with the Lord's will, that's defined as joy and pleasure as per the paradigm and narrative of Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, that's the purpose of the chanting of the holy names, where we are praying, let me realign my will to be in sync with your will, so that there is no difference between the two. And so, when Srila Prabhupada came to the Western countries and spread Krishna consciousness, people connected to the philosophy. And when Srila Prabhupada came back to India and he brought these devotees from America to spread Krishna consciousness in India, people in India were bewildered. They had never seen Western devotees. So two of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, young girls, 18, 19-year-old, they organized a fantastic program in Jaipur, a very powerful spiritual hub in India. Thousands of people attended, and Prabhupada was very proud of both of those disciples. And after the lecture, Prabhupada was introducing these two girls to the local, supporters and businessmen and said, just see, they have come from America, young girls, but see how wonderfully they have organized this event. And one of the businessmen spoke up. He said, Swamiji, they chant, dance, all these things, okay, but I don't think these girls know philosophy. Prabhupada said, what do you mean? My disciples, they are very expert in philosophy. Pointing to one of the devotee girls, Prabhupada said, she knows all the Upanishads. And this girl knew only 5 shlokas of Ishopanishad. And Prabhupada, without giving her chance to respond, Prabhupada said, chant the Upanishads. And they were like these 20, 25 wealthy businessmen sitting there, wanting to hear how much knowledge she has. So she started chanting the first shloka, second shloka. When she came to the 4th shloka, her heart was beating hard. But she was thinking, now, after 5th shloka, I will be exposed. And Prabhupada has advertised that she knows all the Upanishads. What will happen? When she finished the 5th shloka, Prabhupada said, Bas, that means you know everything. You don't have to go beyond. And then one of the businessmen spoke up to Prabhupada and he said, Swamiji, she spoke all these verses, that is fine. But her Sanskrit pronunciation was not proper. Prabhupada said her renunciation is perfect. And that is what matters. Because today the education system is all focused on success, Vijay. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that to attain that real Vijay and success, you need 3 more things. You need Vairagya, renunciation from your own desires, renunciation from your own plans, renunciation from your obsession for sense gratification. You need Vivek, discrimination, to be able to align your will with the Lord's will. And then you need Vinay, or humility, to recognize that there is a powerful force up there and I have to be aligned with that. So therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam is adding fragrance to your current education, because it defines that for attaining real Vijay, you need Vairagya, renunciation, Vivek, discrimination, and Vinay, humility. And then you will get Vijay. So then your entire paradigm of spiritual knowledge becomes complete. And therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam sets have been kept there, right at the back, and we have our devotees standing there. All of those Srimad Bhagavatams were originally printed, published, and distributed from ISKCON Los Angeles all over the world. So the ISKCON of Los Angeles is the headquarters. So I am coming from Kerala, from a Brahman family. From my mother's side, we are priests in Lakshmi Narayan temple in a village in Palakkad called Kalpati. From my father's side, we are priests of Varadaraj Perumal temple in a village called Alamballam in Palakkad, Kerala. So both from my father's side and mother's side, we are actually temple priests. But I had no clue about real spirituality till Srila Prabhupada came to America and the American devotees came to India and they spread Krishna consciousness in India. I could reconnect with my roots by taking the route of Srila Prabhupada from India to America to India. And therefore Srila Prabhupada brought this message to all of us. And we are grateful to the devotees here in ISKCON Los Angeles who are very much part of this entire journey of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And in fact, ISKCON Juhu was built with complete support from the book distribution Lakshmi sent from Los Angeles. Every month, Srila Prabhupada had said. And that time, hardly anybody would come to the Juhu temple. Today, every weekend we get 100,000. And on Janmashtami, just one day, they get almost 1 million people on one Janmashtami day. But it all happened because support comes from here. So therefore, I'll conclude by saying that the Srimad Bhagavatam is focused on helping you understand what you will get if you invest in your spiritual journey. There may be difficulties now, but beyond death, there is protection and reciprocation. And I give the example when we are distributing prasadam in Chowpatty temple. 5,000-6,000 people come for festivals and there's a long line and people are afraid when they are standing in the prasadam line whether by the time I reach the counter, will something remain or not? Or will the prasad get over? But more anxiety is for the server. Server is thinking, I will be able to eat only after everybody eats. So the server starts serving smaller quantity out of a fear to save for oneself. So people come and complain, Arey, your server is giving sabji like chutney. So how do we remove his fear? Make a plate for him in advance. So when you make the server a plate in advance and you keep right next to him below, while serving, when the server is in anxiety, he keeps looking at his plate and knows that whatever difficulty I go through, my future is bright. And then his enthusiasm to serve doubles. He starts giving unlimited. And people tell him, Arey, save for yourself also. And he says, Arey, seva is the real dharma. When your future is assured, you get a different level of enthusiasm in the present. That is what Srimad Bhagavatam does. That you may see there 18 books, 12 cantos stacked up. Can everybody look behind and look at the Srimad Bhagavatam? Bhrigupati Prabhu, can you stand next to the Srimad Bhagavatam and show them the Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes. These are the Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So what this knowledge does is, whatever may be your current situation of helplessness, the Srimad Bhagavatam infuses optimism about the future. And therefore, although helpless, you do not become hopeless. You become filled with hope and joy, knowing that the future is bright. And therefore, dear friends, the modern education system helps you solve problems and manage difficulties. What does the Srimad Bhagavatam help you do? Because beyond problems and difficulties, there is another category that is called crisis and calamity. Crisis and calamity. A young student failing an exam is a problem. It's a difficulty. You put him in coaching, he may pass. It can be solved, it can be managed. But the young student driving somewhere goes into an accident and dies. That's a crisis and calamity. You cannot bring him back. Therefore, realize that life will not only have problems and difficulties, but also will be filled with crisis and calamity. And the only literature which can help you cope with crisis and calamity is the Srimad Bhagavatam, which has been translated and commented upon by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in the English language, and Thakur Bhakti Vinod has so mercifully given these instructions to his son Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to spread this in the English language. And he gave this instruction to Srila Prabhupada. And today, on his divine appearance day, we pray at his lotus feet and pray at the lotus feet of Lord Vamanadev that yes, human form is very rare. The first lesson from Vamanadev's pastime. Second, that economic development is not everything. Bali, you will lose all your money in 1 minute. That's what Bali Maharaj was made to realize. Third, you may have all kinds of opulences, but important opulences to have humility. Janma karma vayo rupa vidyaishwarya dhanadibi tatratyam na bhavit stamba mat anugraha. Humility is the most important ornament. Therefore, Bali, become humble. Fourth, you have to be tolerant. Because even if you are close to Krishna, become devotee of Krishna, there will be crisis and calamity. The power to tolerate crisis and calamity is given to us by the mercy of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a power given by the Bhagavat. And the fifth is, because Bali surrendered to Vamandev, Vamandev was so pleased that he became the gatekeeper of Bali. That means when you give anything to Krishna, you will get a multiplier effect in return from Krishna. Don't be in anxiety that you will lose. You will always gain. So these are the concluding lessons from Vamanadev pastimes with Bali Maharaj. Today is also Vamana Dvadashi, and I welcome all of you here at the Western World Headquarters of ISKCON of Shri Shri Radha Rukmini Dwarkadish Ji at Vatsika Avenue in Los Angeles, a historic temple very dear to Srila Prabhupada and wonderfully led by His Grace Savas Prabhu and his team of devotees. I offer my respectful obeisances to each one of the leadership here and the devotees in this community, and gratitude to all of you for taking out your valuable time on this Sunday afternoon to come and hear about the glories and the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam on the occasion of Bhadra Purnima. So those of you who are interested, you can contact Bhrigupati Prabhu and his team on the way out and see how you can bring Srimad Bhagavatam to your home and transform your home into a beautiful temple. I'm also happy to welcome my dear friend Kaushal from India, Kal Mehta, Kaushal Mehta, and Jay Shari, Ghanshyam Priya Prabhu, my dear friend from London from many years ago. We met each other in 2006 when he was a student, and now he's a big celebrity guru to the Hollywood stars, and he's here for this Sunday afternoon lecture, and to each one of you for coming this afternoon. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. So thank you. Any announcements you can make?